behind Mary Beth. Yeah. At this time, I'm going to call this meeting of the legislature to order. Everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence.
Announcements. Fire evacuation plan. Please note that in the event of an emergency, the fire department has requested that legislators and all others move at least 1 block away from the county office building in order not to impede the firefighters in their duties. Cell phones. Please silence cell phones for the duration of the public hearing and of session. Microphones. Please be reminded to use your microphones when speaking so that you are recorded for the official record. Roll call. Archer.
Present.
Bartels. Here. Collins. DeLon.
Here.
Donaldson. Here. Eckert. Here. Fabiano.
Here.
Gerantine. Here. Green. Here. Haynes.
Here.
Hepner.
Here.
Litz.
Here.
Lopez. Here. Mayo. Here. Maloney James.
Here.
Maloney Joseph.
Here.
Nolan.
Here.
Petit. Here. Roberts. Here. Rodriguez.
Present.
Ronk.
Here.
Worrow. Here. And Waltman.
Here.
22 present and 1 absent. Tonight's first public hearing is on an application under the Economic Development and Small Business Assistance Program for the U.S. Department of Housing Community Development Block Grant Funds, CDBG, administered by the New York State Office of Homes and Community Renewal. There is 1 speaker signed up, and that is Gregory Schifrin.
Hello. I just wanted to thank the legislature for considering our application. It's going to help us buy equipment that we need to expand our company, add jobs, keep jobs that we have now, and generally improve our economic prospects. So thank you.
That's the last speaker for the public hearing. I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing. All in favor? Opposed? This month, I've chosen the session theme of highlighting Women's Equality Day, which is celebrated every year on August 26th. New York has a very rich history with fighting for women's rights. The Women's Rights Convention held in Seneca Falls, New York, in 1848 is widely considered the beginning of the organized women's movement for equality in the United States. The first campaign women organized specifically to further their own rights was the Married Women's Property Act of New York that passed the same year in 1848. It successfully eliminated laws that forced a woman to give up everything that they owned to their husband when they were married. One of the greatest hallmarks of women's equality was the passage of the 19th Amendment giving women the right to vote, which took effect on August 29th, 1920. So to all women in Ulster County, this day is to honor you, your accomplishments, and how much more that we can do to make sure that we all are and stay equal. And with that having been said, we're going to move into a period of public comment. I hear that there are 20 speakers signed up for public comment. I'm going to give 3 minutes for each speaker in public comment tonight. If you do not have 3 minutes worth of comments to make, don't try really hard to get there. But please also respect the timekeeper in the back of the room. She's got a time clock there. And when the time is up, and please step back. And if you have any comments that you're not able to get out in those 3 minutes, you can if you have any written comments, you can hand them to the clerk and they'll be added to the public record. With that.
The first speaker signed up is Maury Gotzman.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, members of the legislature. I'm here tonight representing Friends of Tilson Lake, Inc., a not-for-profit whose mission is to preserve and protect Tilson Lake now and for future generations. And I ask for your help in doing so. Tilson Lake has been a centerpiece of community activity for those in Gardner, for county residents, state residents, and visitors from out of the area. Over its almost 100-year history, the lake has provided a place for those who enjoy fishing, hiking, boating, and birdwatching. At one time, swimming, roller skating, and golf were part of the lake property. Threatened by development and changes in private ownership, the lake survived. Drained in the 80s, restored in the 90s, in 2006, the lake was acquired by the state to enhance Minnewaska State Park. Tilson Lake was to be a vital part of Minnewaska, the only lake in the park to offer easy access to fishing, boating, hiking, and birdwatching in one location. Under the ownership of the Palisades Interstate Park Commission, the master plan was updated to initiate the design development of the dam, conduct necessary repairs to the Tilson Lake Dam, and improve the parking area and boat launch. The commission made minor improvements to the parking lot, the boat launch, and then nothing. In April of this year, we learned in a letter that the first major investment the PIPC was going to make was to secure permits to breach the dam and dewater the lake, leaving a stream running through a dry lake bed. They cited the inability to secure funding to upgrade the dam to current standards, a figure they placed at $7 to $9 million, but when pressed, produced documentation from 2017 showing a real cost of $2.3 to $4.3 million. The cost to dewater the lake hovers at around $2 million. It would be a travesty to allow this to happen. Close to 1,000 people have joined Friends of Tilson Lake to work to help the PIPC get funding. It has been a nonpartisan effort, getting support from Congressman Faso, Senator Bonasek, Assemblyman Cahill, Executive Hine, Legislator Bartels, and the town boards of Gardner and Shawangunk. Tilson Lake has a vibrant ecosystem, cited by environmental specialists at Hudsonia and Hickory Creek Consulting. If this dam is breached and the lake drained, there would be incalculable damage to the region. The loss of property values, the blow to the tax base, the impact on wildlife, and the loss of a high-value recreational area for the county of its residents and its residents. For more information, please feel free to visit our website, savetilsonlake.org, or our Facebook page at Save Tilson Lake. And in closing, I ask that the county make its voice heard and join us in pushing the state to come up with the funding. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Jeff Rindler.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Chairman Ronk, members of the legislature. My name is Jeff Rindler, and I'm the executive director of the Hudson Valley LGBTQ Center, as I'm sure you're pretty familiar with me by now. I actually want to start my comments by thanking you for your service to Ulster County. The more I learn about the work you do and the time that you put in, the more and more I have the greatest, utmost, and respect for what you do. So I thank you. So much so I'm buying a house on Henry Street now. I'm speaking, of course, in support of the proposed Ulster County Human Rights Law. And I speak also on behalf of my fellow Human Rights Commission people, so you don't have 23 speaking tonight, Joanne Meyer, Carl Brown, and Dave Clegg. I was proud to be a part of the task force with Chair Ronk that helped craft this law, and it was a great process, and Dave was part of that as well. What I love about this law is a lot of things, but namely that it protects all. It doesn't segment people out. And I believe there is a time when we do need to do that, but this protects everyone in Ulster County against discrimination. I think that's really important. It allows us on the Human Rights Commission to provide mediation as well as support through a restorative justice model. If that doesn't pan out, then we go to the administrative law judge. But the hope is we'll be able to do it. And it takes the spin off not having to have people go there, many of whom are usually the most challenged to actually go, might not have the financial means. This allows us to take care of us here. It's what I call the taking care of our own law. Very often at the center, we'll get calls that people need help and support. And if I refer them out, the majority of the time they don't get there. And to me, as I jokingly said last time, let's not send them to the abyss in Albany, but let's keep them here at home and take care of it here at home, where they feel safe, as well as those that may have discriminated against are not put in a position where they have to expend money, but they're here, which is their home. So in closing, I just want to end my remarks by thanking the task force, some of whom are here, and what a privilege it's been to be here. And I hope and trust that you will vote yes, and I got a little inside info on this, what I will call a remarkable yet fairly obvious law here in Ulster County. So again, I thank you all for your service and for your work, and I'll see you around campus. So thank you.
Susan Sprockman.
You can pull that right down.
Yes, I'm not going to stand behind that. Okay. My name is Susan Sprockman. I live in Marbletown, and I'm here to talk about the proposed fire training center. Where I live in Marbletown is right next to the Cripplebush Fire Station. When we bought our house, we knew the fire station was there and probably got a break on the price of the house because of that. We knew that there would be sounds coming from it, and at night, occasionally, when the firemen come back from fires, we hear the beep, beep, beep of the truck, we hear the activity. That's one thing. The proposed fire station is planned to be put on a beautiful part of the Ulster Community College campus. Right behind the tree line are the houses on Leggett Road. There's also a meditation center, the Vivekananda Center, right behind it. And in front of it is a child care center. The children are out in the playground a lot. It is my understanding that the fire trucks are going to be in that area as they are running to keep the power going for the equipment. The smoke, the exhaust, will go onto the playground. If children are around, the exhaust will go there. On the other hand, on the other direction is the Vivekananda Center and the homes on Leggett Road. Those people did not buy their houses knowing that there was going to be a fire station there. The sound is going to carry. Our house is 5 miles from the Accord Speedway. We don't have to look at a calendar just to know when it's Friday night. The sound carries, and sometimes the sound is extremely loud, sometimes it's muffled, but it's always there. So the sound from the fire training center is going to carry onto Leggett Road. The pollution from the trucks and the sounds of the trucks when they're firemen training there during the day is going to carry to the child care center. We don't oppose having a place for the firemen to be trained. We value our firemen. We know how important they are. But we are concerned about the live training. And we understand that there isn't going to be a burn center there, which was a relief to us. But there still is going to be a lot of activity, a lot of traffic put onto our narrow roads. And while we understand that it's a very convenient location, it is also a residential area. Ulster County has a lot of industrial areas. We understand there are 2 other locations where there's going to be training. And we strongly urge you to consider moving the training center from the proposed area at the community college to other places. Thank you.
Paul Sprockman.
That's it.
Yes, I'm married to that young lady who preceded me. I just like to say that there has been some talk of this being a NIMBY issue. I'd like to say that you shouldn't look at it that way. We in Cripplebush and in Stone Ridge take the attitude that we should study this proposal more, and we should find out about an environmental study that is coming but not completed. I'd also like to say that Stone Ridge has been, how shall I put it, the target of several proposals to create stores. One is a Dollar General. Recently they pulled out, but it has created an atmosphere, I think, of opposition to any kind of development, including the fire training center, among many of the residents. And I think that if we can have some kind of dialogue without the negative thoughts about NIMBY or something carrying over from the recent proposal to have a Dollar General, I think that something, how shall I put it, there can be a better way of going about this. I understand, having just talked to one of your members of the protection, that the volunteers for fire departments are severely challenged because the numbers are going down and there's a necessity for training. We can see that in Marbletown because we have an all-volunteer fire department. And we definitely support that. But the choice of the area seems to have been done without a lot of input from the residents. And that has created a certain amount of dissent among the people. And I think that has to be taken into consideration. Again, let me say it for a third time without accusations of NIMBYism, because it's not that. Thank you.
John Curley.
Gloria Waslin.
Hello, all my friends. I wanted to just celebrate one thing, that is the birth of my new baby, Hope, the little parrot. And I'm doing a fundraiser. I gave you all the card. And my hope is to get the 501c3 application fee and then to start doing some very fine programs in Ulster County on peace communications with the parrots. Secondly, I'd like to talk about two things. One is the human rights proposal. I think there are a lot of humans on the planet. We all have rights. And there are a lot of animals and nature that we need to protect. So it's axiomatically a normal idea to give equal rights to all sentient life because we are all interdependent. And that comes from the Parrots for Peace motto, may there be peace on Mother Earth between all people, animals, and nature. So I support equal rights 100% for everybody. Secondly, or thirdly, I'd like to say that I'm involved with the resistance of the glide path. Now, I know that that's a town of Ulster issue, not necessarily an Ulster County issue, but I think that there could be great degradation of the environment that affects all parts of Ulster County and can be harmful for people, for the environment, and for water. So the concept also of plastic being on demand for straws rather than automatically given is something that I encourage, because there's so many animals that get the plastic of straws in their nostrils, whether they're sea turtles or whatever, and that should be not an automatic thing. It's kind of like in the city I lived through a water shortage, and you needed to ask for water if you wanted water rather than water just being given out. And I think that straws have a lot of different options, but the idea of everybody getting a straw with a little piece of paper over it is somewhat wasteful and does harm to the environment. So I want to encourage people to use either paper straws or the steel straws. So thank you very much.
Vivi Helblasa.
I should know you by now, right?
I know. We're becoming good friends.
Thanks. I'm sorry to take so long.
Don't be sorry.
Listen, I'm in love with one of our firefighters. He spoke at my husband's funeral. He is a wonderful guy. And I love the firefighters. But he and I disagree about this issue. I'm really worried about the traffic on Route 209. If you have driven there, you must know by now that it's really bad, and it's getting worse. So I think the prospect of not just a whole year of increased traffic, but the increased traffic that comes from 90 fire companies merging on Leggett Road and Cottikill Road is really frightening. So, as I say, I love my firefighter, but I hope that you will find another place. I think there are other alternatives that would serve you just as well. So, thank you.
Claudine Brenner.
So I agree with everything that has been said so far, and I just want to add there are the environmental concerns as well. A full SECRA has not been completed, needs to be completed before any decisions really can be made. There are other sites that were considered, and we hope that those will be seriously considered before putting this in a residential area. It's in a historical district. It's near the daycare center, and it abuts properties with residences, and people fear for the pollution, the noise, the disruption, and if it's not necessary, and there are other options, those should be considered. Thank you.
Marjorie Shealy.
I'm in support of the previous comments, but I'm going to pass.
Edward Shealy.
Likewise.
Brian Appleton.
Oh, you're just watching at home. Sorry. I had to read that. Sorry about that. Oh, my glasses. Good afternoon or good evening. My name is Brian Appleton. I am a resident of Stone Ridge. I'm here tonight to voice my concerns regarding the proposed fire training center at Ulster County Community College and ask this legislative body to recognize and or for its help in addressing a number of local residents' concerns. First, I would ask you to review the executive filings, the actions, and the protocol to date by the lead agency regarding the FTC. Specifically, I would ask you to review the environmental assessment forms that have been filed, as they contain numerous errors and misleading statements with regard to the proposed site, its proximity to wetlands, the soil and landscaping of this proposed site. I would also ask you to question, on behalf of these residents, why the county as lead agency has chosen to be in charge of all approvals for this project, and that it intends on doing their own sector review without public input or participation. I would ask this legislature to consider the fact that this project is in a residential area, in a residential neighborhood, is in a known historical district, and has conflicts with local zoning laws. I'll take a little bit of time to point out in a recent study done by Hudsonia Institute of this site, an institution that has been recognized for their expert work in this field by the New York DEC, Ulster County, and Marbletown. And in their expert opinion is that this is a wetland area. It is contiguous to a water body area, and the soil data referenced in the EAF is incorrect and misleading. And it goes on to point out other inconsistencies and environmental concerns. But after reading this and through numerous documents in full disclosure, only thing I would ask is that this legislator asked the lead agency to take this process more seriously and not just going through the motions that it has while grading its own homework. I would hope that they would offer transparency, communication, and commit to some respect of local towns, the local laws of Marbletown. I also think it's worth adding that this law may put you in direct violation of the Religious Land Use and Institutionalized Persons Act. I would ask before this triggers certain federal actions that you consider keeping this a local issue. Thank you.
Kathy Casey.
Good evening. My name is Kathy Casey. I bought a house on Leggett Road in Stone Ridge in January and found out 6 weeks later from a neighbor that a fire training center was going to be built right behind me. So needless to say, I was a bit concerned, and I called a dear friend of mine who had just retired as fire chief of New Rochelle in Westchester and asked him his opinion, and he said he had never ever heard of a fire training center being built in a residential area. And in his words, he said, "This is just wrong, it's not right, and Kathy, you are not going to be happy." So I mentioned this to an Ulster County official in June at the meeting at the college, and he said, well, he's wrong. There is a fire training center in a residential area in Scarsdale, so in Westchester. So we called the fire department in Scarsdale and spoke to their fire chief, who said what they had in Scarsdale was one building pre-existing, 1.5 stories high in the middle of their garbage and recycling center, also a bus depot, and they did metal working there. And he said it was rarely used. They used a training center in Upper Westchester. And so he said there was absolutely no comparison between what was to be built in Stone Ridge and what they had in Scarsdale. He actually laughed about it. So I am here tonight to ask you to please not build the fire training center in Stone Ridge in a residential area in a beautiful historic hamlet next to homes, wildlife, wetlands. We absolutely support our firefighters and their training. We just think there is another more suitable site for this center. Thank you.
John Avery.
My name is John Avery. I'm a resident of Ellenville. I belong to the Ellenville Fire District, where I've been a firefighter. I'm approaching 30 years now. Along with that, I've been a chief, a commissioner, I'm currently the chairman of the Chiefs Association here in Ulster County for the fire districts. And I can tell you that there's a lot of things that we need, but this training center is one of the most paramount things that we could use in the fire service right now here in Ulster County. And I'll give you a quick snapshot. We look at things in evolution. In our personal lives every day, we see how things have changed, and through the years, how we've had to change how we do things. And when we look at it from the perspective of change, and we look at it as in our professional capacities through work, I'm sure in your jobs, things have changed, that change has brought on training. And the fire service is the same. If we don't have some place to take our people and train them and keep them on the cutting edge of what technology is changing for us, we're not going to have firefighters operating in a safe capacity. We need to be consistent in our training, make sure that we can get our people the cutting edge knowledge that they need so that when they're out facing these disasters at all hours of the day or night, they have what they need. They've got the training, they've got the application. We can sit in a classroom and we can learn a certain amount of stuff. But if we don't get out into that tower and we actually apply those things and learn the tactics and techniques that we need to go with that classroom knowledge, we're never going to be whole. We're not going to be able to do a proper job when we're out in the field. So we've spoke about why we need the tower. As far as the location, I couldn't think of a better location in my opinion. I can appreciate the passion that the residents have there, but I disagree with them. I think that that site is one of the premier sites that they could use. It's centrally located for all fire districts for the most part. I'm thinking we're probably somewhere in a 30-minute travel time for most. We do have some folks that have to travel a little further, but when we start looking at the out-of-service times that's required for training to get our apparatus and personnel to these training sites, that's centrally located. We're minimizing the impact on our communities by taking folks out of service. And then being able to collaborate the efforts between the higher education venue of the college with our firefighting programs, having the ability to take our fire instructors that we currently have and couple them up with some of the professors that are doing the fire science trainings within the college. Look at the information we're now going to impart on our volunteers. Look at how far we can take this program. We can enhance the capabilities of the college to a degree, but look at what they can do tenfold for the fire service by bringing their people in and incorporating them with ours to try and make it the best fire training center we could possibly have. And it's important that we have everything on the cutting edge because tomorrow somebody's going to come out with something new is going to develop, and we need to know about it so that we can handle it appropriately so that we're operating safely. Again, thank you for your time and consideration, and I strongly encourage you to support this training center at the college site. Thank you.
Lou Cardinelli.
Hi, folks. I'm here to speak on behalf of the Fire Training Center. I've been a firefighter since I was 16 years old, and I can remember at that point they were talking about doing a county training center, and here we are about 35 years later. Finally, it's within our reach. I also can feel for the residents, but I am a chief. I've been a chief for 20 years in Lamontville, which is in the town of Marbletown. The site is centrally located. It can be collaborated with some college degrees, which may enhance the capability of our people. We are in desperate need of firefighters at all departments from one end of the county to the other. So anything you can do to try to bolster our numbers would be appreciated. And, you know, I echo John's comments, so please support the Fire Training Center. Thank you.
Laura Cunningham.
Hello, I'm Laura Cunningham. I'm a 37-year resident of Stone Ridge. I actually applaud everything the firemen have said. I want them to have cutting-edge training. It's just in a terrible place, and it happens to be an illegal place. The place that they've chosen is on a public resource. I've studied the environmental assessment form at great length, and in fact, it violates all the principles that are legal. You really cannot intrude on a public resource, and this is a public resource. The fact that it's 600 feet from a child daycare center is absolutely untenable. These children are 6 weeks old to 5 years. They play outside, 600 feet away. You have a construction period of 8 to 12 months with their own stated asphalt paving and concrete mixing. Asthma is epidemic among children now. I actually fear for Ulster County that if these children, if even one child has aggravated asthma, there'll be lawsuits. And in fact, there are lawsuits already. I have my on Liggett Road, there are several lawyers that are representing people, and they gave me their documents. Unfortunately, one man was ill, but they're all here, and I'll file them with you because we're actually hoping to avoid the litigation that would further delay the firemen getting the training that they really do deserve. But 16 miles to Ulster Landing Road with $4 million to spend, it doesn't seem an insurmountable thing. Absolutely no one has objected to the classroom use. Please go into the normal classrooms, but don't tell us that a fire training tower, which is over the zoning rules, and 5 other buildings, and fire trucks every day, and all day Saturday until 10 o'clock at night, that's not something that's bearable in a residential area. And I was sad to see the county planner tell me at this fraudulent open forum that, oh, we can do anything. We don't have to notify residents, and we can put this within 100 feet of your house. I don't think anyone really would like to hear that. And I'm just going to file the picture that he put up, which is much shorter and smaller than what is actually going to be built. It says 40 feet in his EAF, and this is 2.5 stories and much less. Everything has been a deception. You, the legislature, have been deceived. This is not the shared service plan that was put forth. Thank you so much.
Cynthia Bell. Margot Becker.
Hello, my name is Margot Becker. I live in Marbletown. And I wanted to speak today about 2 pieces of legislation around plastic, single-use plastic, the plastic bag ban, and also the suggestion that plastic straws be addressed. These are no-brainers in my opinion. These are both laws that would really benefit the environment, and there are so many answers. In terms of bags, I carry a bag in my purse. I have a few reusable shopping bags in my car at all times. When I ride my bike, there's a metal basket. I think sometimes people have said this will be harmful to low-income people. The people that I know, I've put on zero waste events for low-income families with extremely disabled children, and they all said, we do this at home. This is no problem. So I think it's a little bit condescending to bring that up as a problem. In terms of straws, there are many alternatives, and also just the simple asking of whether someone wants a straw. These are really simple answers. So today or yesterday, Governor Cuomo asked the DEC to address the problem of recycling, the fact that global markets are now collapsing for recycling. And so all of the counties and cities and towns in New York State are going to have to step to the forefront here and come up with answers for how we can protect our environment at a time when plastic is really becoming a global problem. And I think there's so many creative ways to address these problems. I think there are economic opportunities for this county in addressing these problems, and I ask the legislature please to be creative, not to be afraid to make change. I think our county residents are up for making these changes if they're done smartly and sensitively. So I hope you'll take this challenge. Thank you.
Dara Thompson.
Hi, Cindy and I were comparing notes, and so I'm speaking for both of us. Cindy's the local president of the league, and I happen to be the state president, but I'm speaking now as a local board member. As a lot of you know, the county charter is a proud achievement of Ulster County, and the league has had something to do with that all the way along. So we were on the original league members have been on the original commission, on the revision commission. I was just on the one that redid the redistricting portion to make it a little even more nonpartisan. So every time something comes up that affects the charter, we perk up our ears. And we were there, 4 of us were there last night at Laws and Rules, and we went really to see why are you doing this? And it's a fairly big move to change the charter. And we didn't hear anything last night, but we do understand that this is against state law. That's what we heard. And there's only one other county that does this, what is suggested in Resolution 331. And so we're just actually not saying that we oppose it. We're just confused. And we're more confused having come here tonight and been told even more stuff. I made a lot of calls today, but I have not gotten all the answers I would like to get about really why did Suffolk County do it? Has there been any impact? Has anybody sued them? If it's in fact illegal, what happens if somebody does get whatever happens to them before the Board of Ethics, and then they say, well, hey, you people aren't even a legal body, so I'm off the hook. I don't know. We don't know. So we just suggest that maybe you spend some more time. We hear there are a lot of legal opinions out there, and some people say it's all settled. Some people say, no, it's not. So we encourage you not to rush into changing the charter till you're entirely sure that it's a legal change. Thank you.
Susan Murphy.
I live in Saugerties, and I am a member of the task force, the Climate Smart Communities Task Force that was recently created by the town board. And I am here to speak in favor of regulating single-use plastic bags. I think everybody is well familiar with a lot of the problems around plastic, the disposal problems, the impacts on human health of a lot of the additives that are put in plastic for various uses. This is becoming a more prominently known problem. The fact that no piece of plastic that has ever been created has ever gone away. Only the very, very few that have been incinerated. Otherwise, they stick around, and what they do is they just crumble into smaller and smaller and smaller pieces until they become what's become known as microplastics, and they are pervasive. They're even in the air that we breathe now, and so anything that we can do to reduce plastic. Oh, and by the way, another problem is that to make plastic, you have to use fossil fuel. So we'd prefer to, save our precious fossil fuel for other purposes. And what I really want to speak to is make sure that everybody here knows that on August 1st, there was new research that was published these scientists did exhaustive, scrupulous research, and the result they found is that plastics, when they photodegrade, when they're exposed to sunlight, release methane and ethanol, no, not ethanol, ethylene, which are both very potent greenhouse gases. So all of those plastic bags out there hanging on fence posts and trees are all sitting there emitting greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. So, you know, this is something we can do something about, and easily. I think that's all I have to say. I just want to make sure that this is passed, this legislation. Thank you.
Jonathan Papin.
Hello, my name is Jonathan Papan. Sorry. It's hard to pronounce. And I am a resident with my wife and family of Stone Ridge. Our land does border the college, and I am here tonight to voice my concern about the Fire Training Center. But I certainly want to, first and foremost, all of the communications that I've had with all of the residents and neighbors, we are all in favor of a training center. Our only concern is its location. I did attend the public forum at the college, the information center. I did get some very concerning feedback that basically the county project can move forward without any consulting of the residents. They can move forward regardless of any local ordinances. It was a little discouraging. I certainly support our volunteer firemen. I support the fact that they need a training center. It sounds like they have been waiting for it for quite some time. I'm glad that it is finally happening, but I am very concerned that it is happening where it will be. Most importantly, the tower. The fact that everyone has already spoken to, the fact that this will be an active site. I understand that there's plans to mitigate the water use and the spraying of water and how it will be recollected. I'm not quite sure how all that is going to work, but the very fact that this tower is going to be built and that there's going to be activity so close to the wetlands, the daycare center, and so close to so many residences. I don't know if many of the folks who would be there at the Fire Training Center would agree that this is the best place. I am concerned of the transparency and the lack of communication. I find out through the correspondences with other residents what is happening. I have not seen any of the environmental studies. Things that you would expect to receive as a local resident, that this is going to impact you, it's going to impact your enjoyment of your yard. It's a little concerning. So I'm again asking for the legislature's help in considering, not that we necessarily the training center certainly needs to move forward, but its location. It does sound like there are some other alternate sites that could certainly be made available, and I would ask that you seriously consider placing it somewhere other than at the local community college. I thank you very much.
Jennifer Berkey.
Good evening. Until a couple of minutes ago, I wasn't sure whether I would step up here to address you. Still refining my voice. And I'm very grateful for the opportunity to do so. I was so grateful for the opportunity to work with each and every one of you for 2 years across the aisle, holding hands, disagreeing, agreeing. It didn't matter I'm grateful that you have brought forward elements of this human rights law that are important and that will help us make progress in Ulster County. And I just wanted to say that I came to Ulster County 15 years ago this month to work on issues of economic development and environmental protection. And I learned a great deal doing that. I learned a great deal from working here as a deputy director of planning, and then I learned even more as a legislator. And what I learned about most was knocking on every door and hearing about the plight of my constituents, who are some of the poorest in Ulster County. Now, your constituents, all of our constituents. And what I learned as a result of this was that the most important form of development is human development. And that in looking at the studies on economic development, that the counties and regions that have the greatest disparity in equity and the greatest disparity in equality are the ones that suffer the most economically. So I am, again, just very grateful for you considering doing this. And I just want to read a quote from a very important voice of the 20th century, James Baldwin, who was also fearful when he came back to speak to Congress about the potential passage of some of the first changes in civil rights in 1957. And he said this: he said, "Perhaps I did not succumb to ideology because I have never seen myself as a spokesman. I am a witness." He said, "If one really wishes to know how justice is administered in a country, one does not question the policemen, the lawyers, the judges, or the protected members of the middle class. One goes to the unprotected, those precisely who need the law's protection the most, and listens to their testimony. Ask any Mexican, any Puerto Rican, any black man, any poor person. Ask the wretched how they fare in the halls of justice, and then you will know, not whether or not the country is just, but whether or not it has any love for justice or any concept of it. It is certain, in any case, that ignorance, allied with power, is the most ferocious enemy justice can have." So again, I want to thank you for considering our move forward in human rights in Ulster County, and I wish you all very well. Thank you.
The last speaker signed up is Penny Coleman.
I'm actually going to read a statement from Jen Metzger, who couldn't be here tonight. She's a Rosendale Town Council member. Sorry, should I start over, or did you get most of it? I'm reading a statement from Jen Metzger, who's a Rosendale Town Council member, addressing the plastic bag, the Bring Your Own Bag Act. I want to express my thanks to the Ulster County Legislature for considering the Bring Your Own Bag Act, which will have an enormous positive impact on the environment and will result in financial savings to businesses, their customers, and society as a whole. This is really about breaking habits and changing norms. I remember very well as a child how much trash we commonly saw on the side of the road. I also remember seeing people throw food wrappers out of the car window as they drove by without giving it a moment's thought. Everything changed after the anti-littering law was passed. Littering declined dramatically, not just because of a fear of fines, but because social norms changed when the law changed. No one likes to be viewed as a pariah, and that's what a litterer had become. We use single-use plastic bags out of habit, and it's a habit we all have to break. Disposable plastic bags do not biodegrade, and their harmful effects are felt for hundreds of years after their one-time use. They litter our oceans and waterways and endanger ocean ecosystems and wildlife. They hang from our trees, get tangled in shrubs, and blow around our fields. Their production is carbon intensive, resulting in unnecessary greenhouse gas emissions that contribute to climate change. We need to move quickly and collectively to break the habit of using disposable bags. They are a small convenience with unacceptably great costs to environmental health and well-being, and they will not be missed once we are all in the habit of bringing our own. I have been using my own reusable bags for years. I keep one in my purse and several in my car at all times. I don't even think about it now because I'm in the habit. I urge the Ulster County legislature to pass this legislation, which includes a ban on plastic carry-out bags and a small fee for recyclable carry-out bags to encourage use of reusable bags. It will do much to protect the beauty and environmental health of the Hudson Valley and beyond, while saving money that could be more productively invested in other more sustainable uses. Thank you.
All right, that was the last speaker signed up for public comment. So we're going to actually go back, and at this time I'll entertain a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes of the previous meeting. Second? All in favor? Opposed? We have 2 birthdays this month. Legislative Fiscal Analyst Amber Feaster, August 10th. And our good friend, Legislator Mary Warrow, on August 20th. As always, there are various communications on file. If you'd like to examine any of them, please contact somebody in the clerk's office. With that, we'll move into resolutions. The consent agenda, Legislator Mayo, do we have resolutions into consent?
We would like to move some resolutions, Chairman.
Okay.
We would like to move from non-consent to consent. Resolution 322, Resolution 326, Resolution 330, Resolution 340, Resolution 341, Resolution 345, and lastly, Resolution 347.
I'll second that.
Okay. With those resolutions moved into consent,
If I may.
Legislator Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just before we take the vote on the consent agenda, we moved Resolution 330, which is the proposed Local Law 17, the Ulster County Human Rights Law. And I do want to take a second to thank you personally for keeping your word to ensure that this legislation was passed this year. I want to thank my colleague, Legislator Hepner, for sticking it out on that committee and putting in the hard work. I want to thank the commission members for all of your work on this. This is, I didn't want the moment to pass because as we move these things into consent, we sort of forget about them. And, you know, this is hugely important tonight. And I think we should all be really proud.
You know, you sort of stole my thunder there, Legislator Rodriguez, a little bit, because I was.
Never missed
I appreciate I appreciate very much your comments and the comments of Jeff Rindler. I just want to thank the task force that got together. We spent a lot of mornings, early mornings. We started our meetings at 8 o'clock in the morning. You know, and Jeff in particular, and Dave Clegg, and all the members here from the Human Rights Commission who are here, who weighed in on it after the task force had met, and I think made some positive changes. You know, this law I'm very proud of because I think it shows what can happen when you bring all the stakeholders to the table and craft the law there at the table with all the stakeholders present. And I think that it's a really a positive step forward for our community, and I'm proud of everybody. So
well. Well, I'm just really proud that the Democrats brought this forward initially.
There it is.
And with that,
With that on the consent agenda?
we are short yes.
Short yes.
The consent agenda is adopted 22-0.
Resolution 283, adopting proposed local law number 10 of 2018, a local law promoting the use of reusable bags and regulating the use of plastic carryout bags and recyclable paper carryout bags.
Legislator Bartels.
Thank you. I would like to make a motion to refer to the Energy and Environment Committee in order to consider the environmental effects.
All right. Motion to refer to Energy and Environment's been made and seconded. On the referral?
We are a short yes.
Short yes.
The resolution is referred by a vote of 22-0.
Resolution 323, setting a public hearing on proposed local law 20 of 2018, a local law requiring restaurants and fast food service establishments provide plastic beverage straws solely upon request, to be held on Thursday, September 20th, 2018 at 7:10 p.m.
On the resolution?
We are a short yes with the following noes: Legislator Waltman, Gerentine, Lopez, and Mayo.
Short yes.
The resolution is adopted 18-4.
Resolution 331, a local law amending Ulster County's Charter, Section C-106, the Code of the County of Ulster, Section 44-8, and the Ulster County Administrative Code, Section A33-2, Board of Ethics.
On the resolution, Legislator Nolan.
Yes, I think that this resolution is not going to help us get where we want to be on this. I take very seriously the comments from the League of Women Voters that we are treading into an area where there is not a lot of other experience, and I think that it would be best for us to do that very cautiously if we're going to do it at all.
Legislator Joe Maloney.
Yeah, thank you. To have an ethics board with 5 members chosen by 4 people compared to an ethics board chosen by 1 person just makes a lot more sense to me. You know, when I first got elected, this is something I had always planned on putting up, and never in my wildest dreams did I think the time, the time and energy that would be spent behind the scenes by the executive and his staff fighting this to keep that ethics board as only his appointees. It's been surprising. Suffolk County did this. From what I understand, the executive said, yeah, that makes sense. I'll choose 2. Minority, majority, and chairman choose 1 each. Away it went. No articles in the paper. The private sector, not-for-profits weren't brought in, weren't called by the executive to fight it behind the scenes. He didn't send the county attorney down to come up with, to confuse the process. It's a little disturbing. And I've been thinking a lot, time after time after time. Things like this have come up lately. And I just keep thinking, what would this process been like? And I'll choose somebody from the right and somebody from the left. If we had Executive Turco or Executive Clegg, I see a pretty good indie over there. I'll throw Executive Andreessen into this. I'll tell you what would have happened. They would have said, that makes sense. I'll choose 2. You guys each get 1. Let's make people feel good about the ethics board, that you're going to get a fair ruling. You know, when something goes to court, you don't have 1 lawyer choose the jury, and that's really what this is with the ethics board. We have all 3 attorneys in the legislative staff. We have the state attorney general and the attorneys over in Suffolk County, all in agreement. I can't even remember the last time we had that much agreement, legal agreement. And here we are still hearing from the executives people that there's legal issues. They're reaching out to not-for-profits and whispering in their ears, legal issues, all so they can keep that power. It's disturbing. To me, this is a no-brainer. And like I said, I'm shocked that we're standing here debating this today.
Legislator Donaldson.
Would you mind if I sit where during this?
That's okay.
Yeah, because I got it here and it's a little, I'm not Italian, but I do speak with my hands in order to speak.
Indeed.
Anyway, the members of the ethics board that I know of are very good people, and I don't question the integrity of any one of them whatsoever. But there has been questions about the possibility of getting a fair hearing from a couple people that I knew, elected officials outside the legislature and members of the legislature. And we were beginning to look at this thing because, and what they questioned was the idea that every member of the board that acts, as Legislator Maloney pointed out, that acts in some ways like a judge and jury on ethics matters, being appointed by the same person, and the county attorney that advises them also appointing, that person being serving at that pleasure of the county executive. And I do find that the idea that the staff of the county executive's office has spent overtime on trying to stop this simple change, when in fact, as Legislator Maloney pointed out, Suffolk County did this without fanfare and support from the legislative body and the county executive. But we've had at least 2 attorneys from the county executive's office have been working sort of overtime and trying to stop this. Deputy county executive, I believe, making the phone calls and even bringing in the League of Women Voters, claiming it was all illegal. Yet our 3 attorneys, the Suffolk County attorneys, their legislative attorneys, their county executive attorneys, all agreed that it was legal, as well as the opinion by the state AG's office. So I'm at a loss at why all this time and energy was being spent on this. Now, I had an interesting conversation today, early this morning, with somebody that is one of these conspiracy theory people. And, he's pointing out to me, well, you got to follow the money. I said, well, I have no idea what you're talking about. Follow the money. He said, well, it's probably about donations. So I just kind of brushed him off, as one of these conspiracy people that give me a call once in a while. And so anyway, this thing was sticking in my brain. And, I've recently done some research dealing with businesses that do business with the county that give donations, and along with county appointees that are pumping out donations that are served at the pleasure of the county executive. So I said, well, let me look at it anyway. So I run through it. So I'm happy to say that there was only, from the members of the ethics board, there's only been approximately $5,500 in donations. So I don't see this as a pay for play. But what I do say is, when I'm looking at these things, I think people need to understand and feel comfortable that an ethics board is there to give pure and clear ethics rulings. And I think that makes much more sense if you have 4 people appointing. And that's where, that's one of the reasons why this came up with. The original plan was, we actually had it planned, Legislator Maloney and I had a plan about having the comptroller appoint one, the county executive, the legislature, so on. But we found, the sheriff and the DA, but the problem is, there was legal questions about the sheriff and the DA, which made sense. I think people brought it up, you want an ethics opinion. Ethics opinion is not something that is technically, you're not going to go jail over an ethics thing. It may be referred eventually, but the idea of having a sheriff appointment and a DA appointment on that, we made it a little troublesome, so we got away from that. And went with the Suffolk County one, which passed with no fanfare, and I think it makes sense. having 4 members appoint this, and that's the way to go. And thank you for your indulgence, Mr. Chairman.
Legislator Gerentine?
Am I missing something here? Do we have a problem with our ethics board? I mean, you just mentioned that the fact that they're quality people. I'm not even sure anybody has been before the ethics board that sits in this legislative body. I think it's a disrespect to the people that are serving there that we are questioning the integrity of those people. You know, I think there's other reasons why this resolution is brought forth here tonight. I would be a no because I don't know of any reason why, you know, the ethics board is a very honorable people. I don't know if they made decisions regarding any legislative person here regarding the ethics that we're talking about. So I'd be a complete no regarding this.
Legislator Nolan, followed by Legislator Joe Maloney, followed by Legislator Donaldson. Unless there's anybody else who wants to speak for their first time.
So the ethics board does not serve as a judge and jury. And I think that there are statements that have been made here that are not backed up. The idea that people come to a meeting of a committee and get interested in an issue and then come and speak on it and then are said to have been called out, you know, it's not only not based on fact that was presented, but it also is said in a forum where people don't have a chance to respond. So it's really, I don't think it's a way we should conduct our business. The method that is used to appoint in charter counties with the executive appointing and the legislature confirming, actually in this county would bring 24 people to bear on those decisions, not one person or 4 people, one person as was said, or 4 people under the new proposal. And there may be ways to increase the pool of nominees through different mechanisms. Having watched many legislative crafting processes here in Ulster County take place over many months or many years, would like to see something like this have that same kind of consideration. I would have liked to have seen all of the memos that say that one other county has done it and a couple of Attorney General opinions on similar matters are available, circulated to the whole body as part of our consideration of it. And when I started looking to find out about it and discovered that on its face this is counter to the law as written, we have to then go, well, okay, are we allowed to do it? Maybe we are, fine. Then should we do it? And if we do make changes, then how should we do it? And I think that that process would have made me feel comfortable to make some changes. I'm not at all comfortable having proposals brought forth without that kind of process.
Thank you. Legislator Joseph Maloney. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. You know, I wasn't going to speak on this tonight, but I felt compelled to speak after a couple of folks had taken their turn. I'm going to be supportive of this evening. And in responding to Legislator Richard Gerentine's comments, you know, I don't think that this is responding to a current problem. I think that this, as a charter change, is responding to a potential problem down the road. Because you don't do things, you don't change the charter because of the way things are operating now. And I think that things are operating good now. I have a great deal of respect for every member of the current ethics board, and I don't think that there is a problem at the ethics board right now. But what this charter change would do is it would provide balance to future ethics boards. Because you can't think about what happens in the charter based on the person who has the job now. You have to think about the charter based on the worst possible case of somebody who could have the job. And I think that you know, in conversations with our 3 learned counsels here that advise us on legal matters, that is permissible. In fact, just as we were sitting here, Minority Councilor Ragucci found a law review article that expands upon the Attorney General's opinion that actually would allow us to, that says we have the authority to do this under the general municipal law. So, and one thing I think that's been overlooked in the discussion so far here tonight is that this isn't the last stop. We don't have the last say on this charter change. If this passes tonight and survives a veto override or doesn't get vetoed at all and gets signed or sent back here, it goes to the voters, and the voters get to decide. So I want everyone, as we're voting, to take that into account too, that this isn't, I've heard judge and jury tonight. We're not the judge and jury on this. The voters of Ulster County are the judge and jury, on Election Day in November. So with those things in mind, I felt compelled to talk about why we make charter changes and I think what we should think about when we're making charter changes. Thank you.
Sorry. Anybody else first time speaking? Legislator Maloney.
I'll make it quick. This really is about protecting people, and I think sometimes we forget when we get up here on the 6th floor, we're in a bit of a bubble. We're at the top. We've all had jobs. We've all been on the bottom rung, and we've looked up and said, oh, look at that. There they go again, and they feel real good about it. I mentioned this when we violated our own nepotism policy, and I said, there's going to be 60 people that go to work in probation today, and they're going to say, look, and I think you could say that again about the rank and file. There's 1,400 people that work inside the county. And I don't know if how do we know whether they feel comfortable bringing something that may offend a department head that the executive has chosen? How do we know that? For us to sit up here and say it's perfect, nothing would ever change. And this really is going to bring some diversity, and I think there's going to be people inside this county that feel a little more comfortable bringing things to the ethics board and feel like they're getting, at least in appearance, of a fairer opinion.
Legislator Donaldson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As a point of information, what I did was I brought up, as the League of Women Voters were brought in on this, it seemed that they were brought up in this because when I had a conversation with them, they pointed out that they felt it was illegal, and they got that information, from what I understood, was from the county executive's office. So I don't know where they got it from then. They were, well, wait a minute. I was upstairs. When I was upstairs, I came out of, coming out of the county executive's office was a member, at least one member from the League of Women's Voters, coming out, walking out with the deputy county executive. So,
Legislator Donaldson, let's
I'm
just
stop
letting you know.
making I'm just giving you information. So I'm just saying that I have a great deal of respect. I'm actually a member. The point is that there seems to be all things, everything was torn out on this, and it makes no sense to me. It really doesn't make a lot of sense to spend this much energy on trying to fight this thing that was accepted in Suffolk County, very easily. And it is legal, we know that.
Call the question, Mr. Chairman.
And by the way, I did say, I have a great deal of respect for every single member on that Board of Ethics that I know. I don't know all of them, so I don't know each and every one of them personally, but I know at least 3 of them personally.
Legislator Nolan.
Yeah, I made a personal pledge to myself that the next time that a legislator raised the issue of nepotism and claimed that we have violated our own nepotism policy, that I would say that the reason that we addressed a nepotism policy with an exemption was because the law not only allows us to do that, but requires us to do that. And the legislator who is making that charge, through the chair to the legislator making that charge, that there is an exemption that allows spouses who are hired by municipalities not to be in conflict. And that exemption is what allows the legislator bringing that claim to be sitting and taking votes on many of the issues examined by this body. So I would like us not to make claims that we are violating our policies unless that is backed up by something. And I'd like most of the claims we make to be backed up by something. Thank you.
Just be careful about not getting into a back and forth. Okay, Legislator Joe Maloney.
Yeah, no, we could ask our legal counsel, which I talked to at length about it. We absolutely violated our own nepotism policy. That's why you have, with the civil service, you have the top 3 test takers. You have the ability to take any one of those 3. We have the ability to take one of the other 2. We chose not to. We chose to violate our own nepotism policy.
But we should keep the discussion on the fact at hand.
I mentioned it.
With that, there's several motions to call the question on the resolution. Legislator Mayo.
Chairman, we are a short yes with the following noes. Legislator Gerentine, Haynes, and Waltman.
We're a short yes with 2 noes. Legislators Bartels and Nolan.
The resolution is adopted 17-5.
Resolution 338, amending the 2018 Ulster County budget to accept increased funding from the New York State Office of Alcoholism and Substance Abuse Services for Workforce Cost of Living Adjustments, Department of Mental Health.
Legislator Petit.
Thank you, Chairman. I am going to be a no vote on 338 and 339. It's certainly not because I don't believe that lower wage, hardworking people shouldn't be paid higher wages, but I am concerned about one of the vendors that's on this list. There are 4 of them. Had they separated them out, I would have been able to vote yes on the other 3. But I just wanted to explain my no vote.
Legislator Nolan.
Yes, I also share some of the concerns that Legislator Petit is raising about one of the providers, but my understanding from the presentation in committee is that these are packages of money, and we have to accept the all of the recipients. We can't single them out. So in order to support the bringing in of these additional funds, I will be supporting these resolutions.
On the resolution.
We are a short yes.
We're a short yes with 2 noes. Legislators Petit and Maloney. I guess that should be Maloney and Petit.
The resolution is adopted 20-2.
Resolution 339, amending the 2018 Ulster County budget to accept increased funding from the New York State Office of Mental Health for supported housing and vital access, Department of Mental Health.
On the resolution.
We are a short yes.
We are a short yes with 2 noes. Legislators Joseph Maloney and Petit.
The resolution is adopted 20-2.
Resolution 346, authorizing the chairman of the Ulster County Legislature to execute an agreement to establish the Municipal Healthcare Financing Collective to be made up of various counties for the purpose of exploring potential savings on stop-loss insurance, Personnel Department.
Legislator Archer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion to amend Resolution 346 and accept the 3 additional resolutions that we have highlighted in the attached. Amendments.
Amendment made by Legislator Archer, seconded by Legislator Rodriguez. On the amendment, any discussion? Hearing none.
We are a short yes on the amendment.
Short yes.
The motion is adopted 22-0.
Now on the resolution as amended.
Resolution as amendment, we are a short yes.
Short yes.
The resolution is adopted as amended 22-0.
All right, that's the last resolution for the evening. Everyone please stay seated while Legislator DeLawn reads the names of those who we are adjourning in memory of this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Tonight's meeting is being adjourned in memory of Walter H. Brown, West Hurley, Doreen L. Parter, Ellenville, Peter E. Miller, Glenford, Louise Silva, Saugerties, Margaret Ryan, Saugerties, Joan M. Gardner, Saugerties, Clarence D. Bement, Pine Bush, Robert T. Wolfe, Town of Ulster, Timothy J. Ahern, Walkill, Robert Green, New York, New York, Joseph J. Vasallo, Walkill, New York, Eileen M. Quick, Kingston, John Savago, Englewood Beach, Florida, Raphael Danger, Kingston, New York, Evelyn V. Davis, Accord, Joan L. Beck, Ellenville, Janet T. Tietler, Saugerties, John Carpino Sr., Cornelius, North Carolina, Robert J. Auchmuty, Walkill, Sophie Bourgeray, Kingston, Ora G. Freer, Kingston, May Kowalenko, Kingston, Pietro Cordani, Marlborough, Louise M. Garrison, Walkill, Dorothy K. Thiel, Washington, D.C., Carol Ann M. Lorman, New Paltz, and Mark C. Phelan, Port Ewan.
Legislator Jim Maloney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through the chair to Legislator Bartels. Legislator, the resolution for the plastic bag was referred back to committee. I just have a couple of things I'd just like to see.
Hold on. Before we get into anything like that, we're going to deal with memorials. So,
My mistake. I thought everyone was complete.
Legislator Bartels.
Thank you. I just want to take a moment to acknowledge that it's been a really tough week for the town of Gardner. John Savago served for 32 years as the town justice, and he was a former fire commissioner. Carol Lorman served for 38 years as the town's bookkeeper, an active member of the Friends of the Library, and a volunteer to the Gardner Day Committee and all the good work that they do in Gardner. These are both treasured members of the community, and they will be very sorely missed.
Legislator Warrow.
I'd like to recognize Josh Hawks from Saugerties.
Legislator Jarentine.
I'd like to mention James Catalano. He was a Milton resident. He was on the school board for many, many years. He was president of the school board. He was very active in the community. He devoted a lot of his personal time to a lot of youth in the community, opening the schools, taking youths, underprivileged youths to participate in sports events throughout Ulster County. He's a farmer. He worked at IBM. He had many, many friends in the community. He was sorely missed. Jim Catalano.
Thank you, Legislator Jarentine. Legislator Donaldson.
I'd like to add Michael Drummond from Kingston.
Anybody else with additions? Legislator Maloney, I'm going to indulge this very briefly, but it's not in order.
And I understand that, Mr. Chairman, and I do, believe me, sincerely apologize to everyone in this room. I was not thinking clearly. But through the chair, and I'm going to phrase that as TTC to Legislator Bartels.
TTC, that's good. I like that.
Okay, just a saving. Legislator, when you do the review for the EIS, okay, please look at the cost, because I don't believe the true cost of what this is going to be to implement it. Look at the fairness. Mary Bikert has a handout. I'll hand it out at the next meeting when this comes back out of committee. But in the town of Ulster, there's a 650-foot stretch with 5 businesses, and 4 of them are exempt and 1 pays. Will have to conform. To me, in 650 feet, 5 businesses, 4 will be exempted from the law, and 1 will not be. So I just would.
Thank you, Legislator Maloney. We're going to stop it there, but I will invite you to the Energy and Environment Committee where they'll be doing this.
You can bet I'll be there.
And Mr. Chairman, please invite me also.
You're invited everywhere, Herb. With that, the next regular meeting of the Ulster County Legislature will be held on Thursday, September 20th at 7 p.m. right here in the Legislative Chambers, 6th floor, County Office Building, 244 Fair Street, Kingston, New York, Resolution deadline is Wednesday, August 29th, 2018 at 12 noon. Everybody is invited to the Energy and Environment Committee. And with that, Legislator Litz.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for adjournment.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Opposed?
Restaurant?
You didn't hear what I said when he said that,